crews now setting up. That's Shark Island, it's branded Genesis Island to the right of our screen there. That's where all the fans are, and I think that's the end of the line. To see the start line here, the right-hand end on our screen. I think that's where the crew's going to want to be. They've got a minute to get there. Of course, it's a rolling start. Time and distance is absolutely crucial, and right now the positioning is everything. Yesterday in practice, we saw being on the foils from a long way out was fairly key. I like how the New Zealand boat's setting up, expect an aggressive move down the line from them. But New Zealand, Australia, Denmark, they're going to have a run up, and it's Emirates GBR. They're leading the fleet back. Ainsley likes to have a bit of control.
30 seconds to go before the start of race number 1. 3 races today, 3 more tomorrow. You've got to be in the top 3 to get into that final. And look at Australia in the back coming in.
They're coming in late. They're down there at that favoured end of the line. Aggressive move from New Zealand here. He's going to want to get across the front of the Danes. I think it's, oh my word, great move by New Zealand. He now has control, but he's a little early. It's Emirates GBR and Australia well positioned. Spithill can't find a gap. All about the timing. Watch for the line to turn. White.
Oh, kinds of penalties.
Over the line early, New Zealand.
OCS penalty, New Zealand. Over the line early. No delayed starters.
Well, we thought they weren't going to race. It's going to be Australia leading at Mark 1. Perfect timing. Natural sense of drama for Australia and Tom Slingsby. He's going to lead at Mark 1 with the French and GBR, Emirates GBR, chasing them down.
Slingsby loving a bit of drama, going Hollywood. First we were hearing they wouldn't be on the line, they wouldn't be able to race, and here he is getting the whole shot in race number 1.
Here we go, we see gate 2 looming pretty quickly in the background, Todd. New Zealand, their penalty is to go to the back of the fleet, so they've got a big job ahead of them here. And there, that yellow line, that's our lay line. Slingsby looks to turn there. He's well set up for gate 2, and this is where the crews are going to be learning the course. They can turn left or right through that gate. Yesterday, they liked the idea of turning left. Slingsby's perfectly lined up for that. Who's going to make the right choice here? Who's going to find the most wind after gate 2?
Gate number 2, here we go. The Australians in the lead, and then 3 more boats coming into view. Tight quarters on that left-hand side.
Really tight. Look at the Swiss. They've tried to manoeuvre so late. They put the bow in the water. Wow, close moment. The Canada must keep clear. Drama at the bottom gate there. Emirates GBR slides through. They all avoid each other just, but Switzerland, wow, so close to a capsize. Diego Botín, the Spanish new driver, he's not scared of getting in on the action. Dives through 4th at gate 2, and New Zealand, they're back in the pack. Wow, drama there as Australia, well, they're leading the fleet of the way, and great shot here. We see the dark patches of water showing the gusts, the different wind speeds on the water. It's all happening out there, and it's all now about getting fast.
And a tough break for the Americans. Jimmy Spithill had his eyes on that left-hand side and got stuffed. Let's go on board Switzerland.
Here we go, board goes down. It's a late turn, it's a fast turn by Seb Schneider on the wheel there, and we can see he just overturns left-hand side. The rudder comes out the water, the boat overheels. They just manoeuvred too late. It's a late decision, all got a bit rushed, and all got very, very messy.
So back to racing here, race number 1. It is still Australia out in front, France sitting in 2nd, Emirates GBR in 3rd as they approach the next gate.
Halfway up the leg here, Todd, and the Australian boat's in space, clearly working pretty well at this point. I suppose the question is
the umpires. Penalty Canada, relative Switzerland. Port attack boat not keeping clear.
Pretty basic rule infringement there for the Canadians. Tight when you're back in the pack. I think the difference between being out front, where Australia is they've got space as we see a tight cross. Emirates GBR has the right of way. Wow, last minute dive. It's very messy out there on board these boats. The French, look at that. They're flying high. They're heeling over. Wow, it's a big, again, you could see that coming, Todd. The tricky stuff in this breeze is see things early, try and keep it simple. Easier said than done. A lot easier when you're at the front of the fleet than at the back.
Halfway point of race number 1, it's Australia out in front, Great Britain, France, and the USA has now moved up to 4th place. Canada sits in 5th. Emily?
We've got wind speeds here of 35 kilometers an hour, and that makes the upwind speed targets between 55 and 60 kilometers an hour. So when they are having these tight crosses, they're massive closing speeds. So pretty full on for the French there, having to duck at that pace.
And New Zealand not foiling.
Yeah, it looks like there's something not quite working well with the boat. They're in a borrowed boat here, Todd. This was not their boat after that incident in Singapore, and well, possibly good news for Australia. That's their closest rival, New Zealand, out the back, and now perfectly lined up along the lay line, perfectly lined up for gate 3. Hey, it's almost a Chicago. So what that means is one of their set play maneuvers. They try and simplify a complicated maneuver with a different name. They're going to turn the boat away from the wind and set up for an early turn very quickly. You'll expect to see Carl Langford run across the boat and set up for another turn.
So just minutes before the start of race number 1, the hometown favorites, the overall leaders and the defenders of this event say they are not able to sail. They come into the start box. Not only they get to the line, Stevie, first, but they get the lead at mark number 1. And here they are leading halfway done in race number 1. 3 races scheduled for the day. Australia, Great Britain, France, and the USA, your top 4.
Well, I guess they know the course pretty well. And someone else that knows the course well is Emirates Team GBR skipper Ben Ainsley. Won his first gold medal back at the 2000 Olympics here, you know, so that he knows the waters well, but it's tight here. Look, back with the action. The Danes, they're diving inside. They have the right of way there. As Canada, they split away. Switzerland have got themselves back in the race. So despite that drama, they've got themselves back in the action here. And of course, I think for France and Denmark and Emirates GBR, huge event here. We're 3 events away and they're really tight. Another messy maneuver on board Switzerland. That wing should be inverted the other way. Oh, it could get gnarly on board that.
Look at the lead. Australia way out in front.
These 3 teams really leading the way downwind. They've got 63 kilometers an hour of average speed on board the Australian boat, while Emirates GBR slightly slower, but more fly time. So they're staying up on the foils a little bit better, chasing down the Australians.
This is the umpires. Penalty Spain relative Switzerland, not giving room in the boundary.
A windy day and a lot of action for Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell. You'd expect that as everyone's trying to keep the boat, Stevie, safe and away from everyone else. But look at this. Australia just blowing away 300 meters ahead of the rest of the fleet. Remember GBR sitting in 2nd, France in 3rd, USA in 4th.
Yeah, and we're getting towards the last upwind leg, so the things are spacing. What strikes me here, Todd, is it's windy, the boundaries are coming close, and it's how much can you be ahead of the game? How can you be proactive rather than reactive? And at the moment, a lot of these crews are just reacting to what's in front of them. Tom Slingsby, Emirates Great Britain, they're laying out a plan. They're able to keep the tempo at a more controlled level and therefore execute the maneuvers better.
Emirates GBR into 2nd place, Australia with a 300-meter lead, France in 3rd, USA in 4th, Canada top 5. And Stevie, as they take that big shot from the helicopter, you see the big clouds in the distance. You got to wonder if that's going to affect the conditions later today. No better person to tell us what we're forecasted for. Let's go down to the water and Lisa Darmanin.
Hey, Team, we're retiring here.
Well, I can tell you, Todd, that cloud is definitely affecting the race course. It's a different game out here. The wind has been...
Apologies, Lisa. Just breaking news there as New Zealand has had to retire with tech issues. Peter Burley making the announcement moments ago. So now it is an 8-boat race. Leg 5 of 7 is still Australia, Great Britain, France, and USA top 4. Lisa, continue on in the weather and what we should expect for the next 2 races.
Well, I've noticed that the cloud is moving to the north of the course, so it's moving away from the course, so I'm hoping that will settle the wind. But the reason that a lot of the teams are struggling out here is A, it's different to what they practice, but B, is the difference between the lulls and the gusts are making it really hard to control the power of the F50, and that's why we're seeing touchdowns, we're seeing them fly too high, and they've really got to be proactive, like Stevie was saying.
Nice to get it. No, I get it right occasionally.
Once in a while.
Yeah, had to happen. A broke clock is right twice a day, they say. But on board the Australians here, look at that. They look good. Slingsby looks good, even though a slight grimace on board his face there.
That lead has now come down to 210 meters over Emirates Great Britain. France, USA, your top 4 still. And look at this. Those are the spectator boats out there.
Yeah, and look at the speeds, Todd. Look at the speeds. The Australian boat down at 20 kilometres now. Great Britain at 46. The Aussies, that was a bad manoeuvre.
Bad manoeuvre from them in this leg, but last leg, we're seeing that the Aussies are sailing over 300 meters less distance than those boats further back in the pack. Just showing that when you have the lead, you can really keep that average speed up and sail less distance, do what you want as you go around the course.
Pressure manoeuvre now. Australia have to get this right. Ainsley's breathing down their net in Emirates GBR. We're right now, last couple of manoeuvres to the finish, Todd. This is the final gate before they head down to the mark. Australia did nail it. They should be good to bring it home in front of the fans from here.
So through the near gate for the leaders, Australia, then it's Great Britain, France, the USA. They'll head downwind, and then it's one more turn for the finish line in race number 1. Remember, 3 races today, so 2 more still to go. But I got to tell you right now, whatever that short crew did, Stevie, it's masterful, because Australia went from possibly not racing today to leading this race, and looks like they're on the way to a win in race 1.
They're going well. They were late getting the board down there, Todd. When we come back, it'll be interesting to see how they look.
Boundary penalty, Australia.
Yeah. That's 20 metres they're going to have to lose relative, but more importantly, they're off the foils. The penalty's not going to matter. The speed they've lost, they're struggling to get the board on the left-hand side of our screen down in the last 2 manoeuvres. That was the board that had a problem in the last race.
And look how close it is now, as you talk about it, on course. Emirates GBR, and they are now stuck in the water.
They're off the foil. Someone's overboard, Todd. Someone's overboard. Oh my word, that looks like the fairing's broken.
Yep.
They're trying to reach through, and he's just clearly, whoa, disaster for Emirates Great Britain. What a moment there. Opens the door for the French. Quentin de la Pierre chasing down hard after the Australian crew. Slingsby won't want any more manoeuvres to do here. That board's not working possibly. Here we go, watch this. 2 more manoeuvres for Australia, 1 more manoeuvre for France. The Aussies can't get that board up. Big issues. Australia has the right of way here at the mark. Oh my word, they're having to think on their feet now, Todd. Oh my lord, the boat jumps out of the water.
And
Big
look at
moment.
the Americans on the inside.
Oh, it's a sprint now, but Australia, they're sailing with an arm tied behind their back at the moment, Todd. Unbelievable that they're managing to hang on here as France drive to the finish. Spithill drives to the finish. Who's going to get there first?
Neck and neck as they come to the finish line here in race number 1 in Sydney. And the win will go the way of the French. Quentin de la Pierre pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
Wow. Unbelievable by the French to get through there, but how the Australians have finished 3rd. Look at the French boat leaping across the finish line there. What a race. There's some serious issues on these boats right now.
There is a lot on out there today. Incredible effort by the Australian boat for finishing that with board issues.
So here we go. We are coming up 1:15 to go before the start of race number 2. If you're just joining us, you missed a lot, and we will bring you up to speed. But France, USA, and Australia, the top 3 finishers in race number 1. Emirates GBR was in the lead until they lost a sailor, Matt Gottrell, overboard.
1 minute to go, and we saw the end of the line towards Genesis Island was the place to start. They're coming up here, the crews are lining up, and these next few seconds will be pretty definitive, in terms of being ready for the gun.
Under 40 seconds to go before the start of race number 2 here in Sydney, Australia, day 1 of the KPMG Australia Sail Grand Prix.
And it's early move there, New Zealand. They're making their move down towards that bottom end of the start line near Shark Island. That was the place to start last time. Kiwis have learnt from their mistake, and they're looking to find space. The Switzerland team shut them off now, as we see Emirates GBR, Denmark and Canada in the middle of the line. French and USA looking to snipe here. Can they find a gap through the fleet as Tom Slingsby winds it up at the top of the line? I think he's early. We're watching for the line to turn white. How's your timing, Tom Slingsby? He's coming in hot here.
Dead on.
Oh! I think he was early, Todd.
This is the umpire's OCS penalty, Australia.
Oh, we're going to want to see that back. That must be microseconds in that. And it's going to be France and New Zealand towards the bottom here. Looking good. It looks like Quentin de la Pierre put his starting pants back on because he's going to lead at Mark 1. And the French, they won the first race and they're out of the blocks real quick here. That boundary is going to come quick. We see there underwater on board the Swiss boat. Canada's going to be looking to set up for a manoeuvre. It's going to be really tight here with this spectator boat on the racetrack. Wow, it's tight in there.
A lot of chaos on the course here in race number 2, and it looks to be France with the lead. Spain up playing with the big boys as well, and Canada in the top 3. So it's France, Spain, Canada, your top 3. New Zealand now sitting in 5th, 1 spot behind the Americans who hold down 4th.
Yeah, New Zealand seem to be struggling with this boat. It's not their boat, of course, after that lightning strike in Singapore. As France, look, they're coming in there at 85 kilometers an hour. The Spanish boat, Botin, what an effort by this young Spanish crew. It's his second one day at the wheel of an F50. Don't forget that, Todd. This is unbelievable from him. He's going to split the course with the Canadians. Wow, getting loose there. Fly too high. He put it at a dangerous angle and they're too much power, but they've got control again. And the Spanish, well, it's a great start by Diego, but they need to get the boat going faster.
Emirates GBR back up and running. There's Denmark. Nikolai Sehested. The Australians have moved up a position. Remember, they had a penalty early going over the line just by a fraction. So it's France, Canada, USA, Spain now as they go on to leg number 3.
Great camera angle here, Todd. Look at those dark patches on the water. That's what these crews are trying to find. If they can put themselves in one of those big gusts, you're going to be going faster. But as Leeson said, you've got to react to it and set the boat up properly to deal with it.
We're seeing a lot of breeze coming down the course. On that far side, on the right-hand side of the course, we saw the French with over 40 kilometers an hour of breeze. A little less on the left-hand side. We have seen a few teams touch down in maneuvers in these lulls and gusts and losing control.
Oof. French are sailing the boat well here, Todd. Look at that lovely smooth turn there. Kept the boat up above the water, forward all the way through, and they did it right in that dark patch of wind. So they're staying in the gust. The key is, can you link the gusts together? It's all very well getting a gust, but if you then fall straight out of it, that's no good at all. And we can see the French, wow, look, they're sailing nearly straight up the ladder line here. Not only have they got a gust, they've got a great angle in the wind. And New Zealand, look at them, they're coming back through the fleet fast. Burling's reading the wind well, and they've got the New Zealand boat up and going.
Tight cross moments ago between the USA and Canada. New Zealand, Stevie, as you put it, they are back in the mix in 4th. They're Spain as they were running in the top 3. Now they're back to 5th. But everyone now is chasing France as they have found their sea legs after winning race number 1 and their lead almost 200 meters over the Americans, who now sit in 2nd.
Yeah, and the wind's really rotated to the left here. So we can see that USA, they have the right of way. Canada must keep clear. This is a difficult maneuver for Phil Roberts. Beautifully executed there. He really did that well. Super smooth on board, but it's opened the door for New Zealand. That's going to close the gap. But yeah, we can see the wind. The crews are nearly sailing straight up the ladder lines here. We can see the direction of course indicated on those ladder lines, and that means that next leg there's going to be minimum maneuvers in it. Could be good news here for the USA. They're going to be on a good mark angle into gate 3, potentially one turn down to the next gate.
So France is having a great race. Stock up. Canada's come back. The Americans in the top 4, as are the Kiwis. What is going on with Spain, Denmark, Emirates, Great Britain, and of course Switzerland having problems? Let's go down on the water for a report, and Lisa Darmanin.
Well, this left turn at the gate here is super critical because that's where the wind is. But the issue we have is we have a beautiful line of spectator boats, great for the spectators, very difficult for the sailors. I think this left turn is certainly the priority, so it'll be interesting to see which teams prioritize left turn here.
Interesting that Lisa says that, Todd, because the left turn is going to put you into the boundary pretty quick, and I think you might have to do 2 manoeuvres downwind going that way. I kind of liked where Jimmy Spithill went there. He's potentially going to only need to do 1 turn, so it'll be interesting how this one works out down this next leg.
So the USA and Spain up for the right-hand side, and look at the speed on board New Zealand, approaching 90 kilometers an hour. And look at the wind. We're pushing almost 50.
It's windy out there, Todd. Yeah, we can see the French have done okay. They're having to set up to turn already.
Really impressive performance downwind here by the USA team. 97% fly time, that's the highest on the course, averaging about 65 kilometers an hour, as are the French. Both teams really pushing it here, head to head. Only meters apart.
Jimmy Spithill hitting the turbo.
Yeah, it was a little gain for Jimmy, but now they're locked in. French have control of this situation. They have the right of way, but the US are going faster. Jimmy not afraid to push it. Who's about to go over the top here? It's about to be controlled to the USA, and the French have to set up to turn again. I like that right turn at the top from Jimmy. He's been able to do a lot less. Now Jimmy must keep clear here on board the USA. Has to keep clear. Expect a protest from Delapierre. Jimmy matching his manoeuvre. Paul Campbell-James telling him when the board went down. USA react immediately. There's the yellow ley line. That should mean the French are well set for the next gate. Contan aggressive there, sailing Jimmy off the course. Well, the match race master, the old master Spithill, giving a bit of a lesson from Delapierre. Aggressive from the young French driver.
And remember, these are the top 2 finishers from race number 1. France and the USA went 1 and 2. They sit 1 and 2 here in race number 2.
they're also two of the teams that perform the best the last windy racing back in Saint-Tropez. So I think this could be a strength of these teams, this big breeze, little wing setup.
Well, Canada, too many manoeuvres as they come in at the bottom here, and the Spanish in third. What a performance from this Spanish crew as we see Peter Burling on board New Zealand slingshotting around the outside. Well, they need a result. But yeah, I think we should not forget about the fact, getting quite close to the end of the season, USA have not had a good season. They probably have to win this event to have any hope of making the final.
The Americans currently sitting 7th overall, 25 points back of Australia, the overall leaders. And they are way back, 54 points to 43, so 11 points back of that third position. Remember, the top 3 teams will sail in that $1 million race in San Francisco, which comes up May 6th and 7th. So leg 5 of 7, there you see the wind at the top, holding right around 40 kilometers an hour. It's France in the lead, 52 meters clear of the USA, New Zealand in third, then it's Spain and Canada, your top 5.
And it's tight here, because the next maneuver is going to be on the French. They're going to want to turn the boat next, but when they do, unless they execute a perfect maneuver, Jimmy Spittle's USA will have the right of way. So this next few seconds is all pressure on this turn for France. Oh, Jimmy lets him off. Jimmy turns with him. I think Jimmy's setting something up for later in the leg here. He's hoping to keep that advantage of being to the right and set the French up, or he thought the French were comfortably ahead. Bon gauche ici. Now, I don't know a lot of French, but that means the wind has turned to the left.
Yep.
And you can see that showing as the wind has shifted to the left. It's really shifting direction. If you get on the right shift, you can be sailing nearly straight up the ladder line, and you just progress to that next gate quicker. And that's what we can see the French doing here. They're really reading the wind shifts well and minimizing the distance they have to sail.
There you see the speeds. The French, no stranger to speeds. They have the record at 99.9. And they did that down in Saint-Tropez. The Americans sitting in 2nd place. This is race number 2. This is leg 5 of 7. They'll go through the next gate, then head downwind, and then it'll be the sprint to the finish line. And a perfect match there from Spithill.
It's a great turn by both boats, to be fair there, Todd. And we can see the French look well lined up. Looks like Spithill's going to follow. Spitill's relying on mistakes from the French. Big wind at the top here, 44 kilometers an hour. Pressure's on this maneuver here. They're going to turn away from the wind. They go through the danger zone.
Boundary penalty, Denmark.
Back in the fleet in 6th, Denmark suffers a penalty going out of bounds.
Here we go.
Look at the acceleration out of that turn.
Pressure on the flight controller, Hans Henken there, the razor focus on the left-hand side of our screen. He's chasing down the French, but it is going to take a mistake from the French for the US.
Oh
wow,
my.
It's going to get so tight here. That boat's on the racetrack. They've got to get out of there. It's just dangerous.
That's Elisa Darmanen's point. Spectators love it. The sailors probably hate it. That's like sitting in the front row of a Lakers game.
Well, all right. Yeah.
Right in the mix.
Or a pitch invader, potentially, at that point. They were inside the boundary there, Todd, so really tight. Potentially 2 more turns for the French. They need to execute them well. There they go. Here we come. USA going faster. 2 more for the USA as well.
Are you surprised the Americans are following them?
I thought the Americans might have gone a little bit past to try and dive inside last minute, but it's a lot of manoeuvres to get in very late. And De La Pierre, he's not making many mistakes today.
We've seen big improvements from this team over the past couple of events, especially surrounding their maneuvers. They're one of the most consistent with the quickest rate of turn out of all of the teams, which is critical in getting the boat up to speed as quickly as possible.
And talk about speed, it is all about speed. Look at this, France absolutely flying through the course, and they are going to take it to the finish, make it 2 for 2 for Quentin De La Pierre and France. Jimmy Spithill tucks in behind, he'll grab a 2nd. So the same results in race 2 that we saw in race number 1, and the French and the Americans are loving life in Sydney.
Well, with 1 minute to go to the start, we can see they're late in here, but hopefully they've got their game face back on. A 3rd was important, but I think they're going to want another top 3 before the end of the day.
Emily, give me a boat to watch here in the 3rd and final race of the day.
I think all eyes are going to be on France and USA again. They've had a really strong start to the day, and I think with this building breeze, that should continue, or at least I'd hope so, because that was brilliant racing to watch.
Really interesting here, Todd. 35 seconds to go. A lot of boats off the foils, and right now the wind looks quite light in under this headland, so it could be tricky to get back on the foils. We can see the darker patches of water at the bottom of our stream. Switzerland, they look like they're going to be really, really late here. Same for Spain, same for Denmark. Can Emirates GB find this gust of wind right in front of them? Look at that dark patch of water. When they hit that, they'll pop on the foils, but they're definitely late. 10 seconds to go. A lot of the boats out the back, France, Canada and Australia, well, they're foiling and they're going to be in good shape just in time for Emirates GB. But how's your timing, Phil Robertson? 3 seconds to go. Perfect from Phil Robertson. A big change in the wind there, Todd. No one reacted quick enough other than the Canadians, but Delapierre, he's right in the mix again, and it's going to be more of a boat speed race.
The calm voice of Phil Robertson in Canada SailGP out in front. They take the big gust and they're around mark number 1 at more than 80 kilometers an hour. And look at the Aussies checking in at almost 90.
See that boundary, look, it's right there. It's only a few seconds away. It's really, really close down to gate 2, but a nice lead for the Canadians. They should be able to be smooth here.
Umpires. Boundary penalty, Canada.
Oh, unbelievable.
Right off the bat.
Oh, I'm surprised that was a boundary penalty. Unforced error by Phil. He's not going to be happy. Got to lose 20 metres here relative to the French.
So that'll handle
the umpires. Boundary penalty, New Zealand. Boundary penalty, New Zealand.
And the Kiwis were right behind the Americans in 6th place, so the Americans will get a little more distance there. And here we go into gate number 2.
And look, the Canadians, they've got that boundary penalty. They sailed too much distance, opened the door for Delapierre, and on the form he's on today, he's going to take it. The French are a little loose round there, but they're still out in front. Canadians stop in front of the Australians. Hard manoeuvre, the Aussies trying to get it back under control. Whoa, big water over the deck. That was the Canadians so slow in front of them, and that opens an opportunity for Emirates GBR, as we can see everyone getting really loose around gate 2.
So the lead that Canada and France had is now squandered as the rest of the field comes into view, and it's all tight racing quarters here in the 3rd and final race.
Another good maneuver by the French there. We're seeing out there it's really difficult to maneuver, especially those roundups at the gate. So it's about keeping that boat under control, because it's so costly when you're going from 80 kilometers an hour to virtually 20. At the moment there, you can see Canada have really struggled with that fly time, 87% up on the foils. That's from some of their big crashes down there. Maneuvers are where they do seem to struggle a bit more than the other teams.
Going straight does not seem to be a problem for either of them, Stevie. It was the maneuvers. So is that attributed to the weather, and did a big gust hit them?
Yeah, I think it's all often, you know, the gust is the changing environment. It's just quite windy. Certainly at that bottom gate, they're struggling to control these small wings here. They don't work quite as easily with the crews. And as we can see across there, it's an absolute strength test here of boat speed, and the Canadians are forcing the French to maneuver away first. Go. It's the voice of Chris Draper there. He says a lull on the bow. There's obviously some lighter patches in the wind. A wind shift towards the left will help Canada here, but how well can they all execute the manoeuvre? Canada have executed it pretty well, but that board's still in the water. It's taken a while to come up. Gain for Canada, lead change here, and that's all on the wind shift. The wind has rotated from the right to the left. Canada to the left of France. Advantage Canada.
So for more on the conditions, we go to our version of the Wind Whisper. Down on the water, here's Lisa Darmanin.
Well, it's changing every lap out here, Todd, so the teams are definitely having to adapt. The reason it's so tricky is because the difference between when it's windy and not so windy is about 20 kilometers per hour. So they're having to change how they're using the power. It's also the angle, so that's changing everything as well. It is really hard out here. It's definitely windier at towards the harbour bridge, and it's gustier up to the top where they're heading right now to this gate.
Well, aggressive manoeuvre by Canada, but it's opened the door for France. Delapierre through it. Canada must keep clear of the French in this situation, and a slight mistake by Phil Robertson there. Opened the door for Delapierre. He's jumped right through it, as we can see Slingsby and Ainsley on board Australia and Emirates Great Britain. They're back in the game as well, as Contant Delapierre, we've said this before, leads at gate 3.
And something going on with the Americans as they were sitting in 5th place. They have now dropped back to 7th. Emirates GBR has the right of way as they come in. They will pick up 3rd place ahead of the defending champions Australia, who will slide back to 4th.
When we think of the season as a whole, Todd, the French needed a big result, GBR needed a big result, and New Zealand, we thought they were comfy, but if they're getting another 6th and they find themselves in the pack at this event, they could be right back in the fight with Emirates GBR and the French for that place in the podium race in San Francisco.
This is the umpires. Penalty Canada, relative France. Windward boat not keeping clear.
2nd penalty to Canada in 3 legs. Craig Mitchell, the chief umpire, with a busy day here on this 3rd and final race.
These are some really costly mistakes that the Canadians are making because they're actually sailing really well. Their average speed is about 52 kilometers an hour, but they're sailing significantly less distance than the other teams, suggesting that they're on the right side of a lot of these shifts. While GBR typically are sailing quite fast, but a lot more distant, so sailing for pressure rather than the right wind shift.
Well, there you go, still not struggling to scrub that penalty there, and that's going to open the door for France and also Emirates Great Britain. They're coming back fast. Expect them to be right in the mix when we get down to gate 4. It's advantage France at the moment, but it's going to be really tight as we approach gate 4.
How about some props to Denmark? Nikolai Sehested, their speeds, they were approaching 90 kilometers an hour just a moment ago. And this is a tight race, the 3rd and final race. And here we go, it's going to get a little fruity.
Great Britain have the right of way here, Todd. France have got to judge this. It's so tight across. I think he's clear ahead. Wow, both boats scrape across in front of Great Britain. That was so tight. There's going to be a protest. Oh, Ainsley, he's going to get really slow here. I'm surprised they've gone for that move. Does get himself some space, though, but he's lost a lot of distance doing it.
So 1 hole into the water as Emirates GBR slows way down. Look at their speeds.
He fell off the foil, Todd. They needed to really do an earlier turn in front of the French and head towards the left turn. And they've lost a lot of speed, as have Australia. New Zealand, well, they need a big result here. They could do with overtaking at least 2 boats on this upwind leg to put themselves in with a hunt of the final tomorrow. But out in front, well, France look pretty good, although it is lighter winds where they are right now versus Great Britain. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out on the leg.
Leg 5 of 7. They'll head to the top of the course. They'll come back down, and then the sprint to the finish. It is France, Canada, and Great Britain. And it is the French who have won the first 2 races right now that seem to have found a home here in Sydney Harbor.
Good comeback by the British. They've got the boat going, but you can see the wind has rotated to the right, so that the French are sailing up the ladder board, and they were to the right of Great Britain. Now, my worry would be if it's gone right, the next move's probably going to be for it to go left. So where Great Britain heading, I don't think that's good news for them. It should be good news for France and Canada, but it's a match race. Look at these two. France and Canada absolutely locked horns, identical turns.
So who does it cleaner?
Well, probably advantage France if we're judging the manoeuvres there. 2 pretty good manoeuvres, and the French have stretched, but that slight loss has given Emirates GBR a chance to get back in the game. Still behind here, but Ainsley, he's on the hunt as we approach this final gate. Leg 5 of 6, not a lot of time left on.
Wind speed on course right around 37 kilometers an hour. It is France, Canada, Great Britain, Denmark, the USA top 5.
This is good action. There's so many manoeuvres having to go in. This is testing the crew work, testing the fitness of those big grinders at the front of the boat there. As we see in the background, USA has to dive behind Peter Burling on New Zealand. Oh, it's really tight, but Australia, they've dropped to 7th here, Todd. This is all happening, and all that means is good news for France, good news for Canada.
Canada briefly off the foils there. That's going to cost them. That might put Emirates GBR across them here on this cross now.
Right of way with Canada. Emirates must be confident they're clear ahead here. He is clear ahead, but I'm surprised he hasn't turned the boat yet. To me, he sailed a little bit wide. That could open the door for Canada to get up through this gate ahead of them. It's going to be tight on the way down. France, though, look at that, opening the gap, nearly 200 meters ahead. Could be 3 from 3 here, Todd.
Quentin Delapierre makes the turn around gate number 5 on this third and final race. The winners of the first 2, and more importantly, in the overall through 8 events, France is 1 point back of third place Emirates GBR. So a win here in Australia would be huge for them.
Canada miss it. They don't make it to the gate. It's going to be a big loss for the Canadians. Big mistake misjudging that ley line. Emirates GBR round the outside. Rockwool Denmark round the outside. And this will open the door for the New Zealand crew to come charging back at Canada as well. They're still off the foils. Here comes New Zealand. Oh, big mistake, Todd. Look at the distance lost.
Look at that. From 2nd to 5th on the last leg, the penultimate leg, I should say. And look at the lead now as France and Quentin Delapierre seems to be at home here in the Sydney Harbour despite the changing conditions, despite the shifts. It is Quentin Delapierre that has been the most consistent sailor throughout the day, winning race 1, winning race 2, and on his way to winning a 3rd consecutive race.
To pull that off, this is a good final race for Emirates as Denmark Rockwool, they seem to just keep themselves in the hunt, the Danish. They're looking like they could get a good position here.
And the win will indeed go to the French as they make it 3 for 3 in Sydney.
What a day for the French. That's got to be their best ever day.
2nd place, Emirates, Great Britain. They'll grab that and they need...